Hey y'all, it's your girl Cassandra with Pecan Porch Boutique. Thanks a lot for stopping in to watch my newest video. Y'all, I am still on a quest to go through my smalls and get more acquainted with doing smalls. Alright, so let's jump right in. So for project number 1, this cute little metal rocking horse, y'all. My sister picked him up for me from somewhere. I'm not even sure where. And I did not want to paint him at all. I just thought he was really pretty, but I just want to kind of add to him a little bit. So I am going to be patching him up with IOD's lattice rose inlay. And this is such a pretty inlay. I love the inlay. But I'm going to be using these flowers, these roses, to add to my horsey. So basically, I'm just going to start by trimming off this little edge on here. And he's going to get a patchwork. I'm going to be patching him up. Pretty much the same way that I would do if I were laying an inlay on anything else. Except it's going to be a kind of a chopped up inlay. So I'm just going to cut it kind of to fit. I mean, there was really no fitting. But I'm going to cut it. And then I'm going to make a few relief cuts so that it kind of fits around his body a little bit better here and there. And then I am going to be using DIY's liquid patina to lay it down. And y'all, this is just going to be, the best I can get it is what I'm going to do. Because laying this inlay, even though the inlays is really versatile when it comes to moving around on different surfaces, it was hard to get on here. So anyway, a few relief cuts. I just cut it to fit as best I could. And then I'm going to be taking some DIY's liquid patina. I'm just going to be brushing that on. And then I'm just going to be laying that inlay down into it and smoothing it down with my hand. As with any inlay project, you just want to make sure that you lay your inlay down so that the grid side faces you, is turned up toward you, and that the painted side is what's in contact with either your paint or whatever medium, in this case liquid patina, that you are using. And this piece that I'm putting on right now, this is going to be the longest piece that I use on this horse. Everything else is just going to be chopped to fit and laid in as best I can in different places. Nothing as long as this. I won't use that again because I don't have a place to use it except on the other side. I'll do the same thing that I'm doing on this side to the other side. So now I'm just going to take some baby wipes and I am going to use the moisture from the baby wipes to actually press that inlay into that medium all along my horse. And that's going to be kind of like my my water. Usually you might spray water, but this is not, I don't think there's a need for water. I think the baby wipes have enough moisture in it to make good contact with the horse off of this inlay. So that is what you see me doing here. So when you're using some type of water-based top coat rather than paint with your inlay, you really don't want to leave it on there too long. So I just left it until it was dry to touch. And now I'm taking a spray bottle, my misting bottle, and I'm just going to spray it along the inlay and start to peel it back. So this horse's plastic surgery is done, and now we can remove the sutures, y'all. Look how pretty this turned out. I was so happy that I did not paint this and decided to go with the inlay instead. Look how pretty, y'all. So pretty. And again, I did the same thing to the other side, just patched it up, and then I sprayed it with a clear coat. All right, all of her stitches have healed. Let's take a look, y'all, at where we started, and look how pretty this turned out. I am so pleased with how that turned out. All right, y'all, on to project number 2. Now, I bought these little canisters from a garage sale. I can't remember how much I paid for them, but I don't pay much for anything. But thus begins my milk paint debacle, y'all. I am just so determined to learn how to use milk paint now. But this project here, y'all, was a debacle. I mean, milk paint is one of those type things. It's a powder paint, and you're supposed to use equal parts powder to equal parts water. And milk paint is one of those type paints that you cannot control it. I mean, you can use Extra Bond, and that will keep it from chipping. But if you're looking for a chippy look, then you're just gonna get what you get if you don't use the Extra Bond. Well, beware, y'all. This was my milk paint debacle. But I start out by using Gumdrop from Sweet Pickins. I did 2 scoops of powder to 2 scoops of water. I did my little frothing for about 2 minutes, and then I set it to the side and let it thicken up. And then after I had already put on a flat black coat of spray paint onto these, I started painting. So then I took out my heat gun and I started to heat it up to help it dry. And I think this is where everything went wrong. So once I heated it up, I got like super duper cracking and peeling, y'all. So look at this one. You can see, I mean, it just went cracking crazy. And I think that I probably should have sealed it first. But I didn't, because again, I'm learning milk paint. But you can see that I first start off just by using my hands, and everything just starts flaking off. I mean, just flaking. And so that was the first canister. I think then on this second canister is where it went really wild, and the flaking just continued and continued. So, I mean, I think I should have sealed first. And I've been watching people on YouTube use milk paint, and I'm really going to have to get this down because I'm determined. I am determined. But needless to say, y'all, I am not a quitter. You're going to see what these turned out to be in the end. So after I did it with my hand, I just took out a light sanding pad, and I just took some more of it off. I mean, it was either that or start all over, and I wasn't going to start all over. So that's what I'm doing here. Once I am done with that, then I decide, okay, it's transfer time. Well, no, it's not transfer time. I'm using some of the pieces from the Home Sweet Home transfer by IOD, but you can't put a transfer on paint that's peeling. The transfer is just going to take the rest of the paint off. But I tried. Knowing better, I tried anyway. Y'all are going to see what I get in the end. But once I got through trying to put on transfers, they're supposed to say coffee, sugar, and tea. Then I went over with some of the Sweet Pickins dark oil wax to seal it all in. Once I was done with that, y'all, I added a few of the little handles from left over from my jewelry box to the top so that you would have something to lift it. I just went with it, y'all. I did. I just kept going and I went with it. I got what I got. So I'll let you keep watching and take a look at All right, y'all, get ready. You can see as I am waxing these that most of the transfer did not transfer. So this is what it looked like before, and this is what it turned out to be. So I got tea and I got most of coffee, but none of sugar. But that was it. I kept going, y'all, and that's what I got. All right. Onward to project number 3. I needed some relief after that. Have I used the word debacle enough times? After that debacle. So here's a little, I guess it's like a little cutting board. And I picked it up at a garage sale. It's a rooster or a hen or something, some kind of chicken. And it had, the wood middle. And maybe y'all can tell me what that little round thing is there. Is that for like cheese or a dip or something? I don't know. And then it had the feathers or the tail and the head were like this silver iron stuff. So I am going to be giving this rooster a coat, 2 coats actually, of DIY's Little Black Dress. And then I am also going to be adding more of the features from the Home Sweet Home transfer that I used or tried to use on the canisters. So now here I am with a little of DIY's marquee, and I'm just going to trim out that little rim around him there in red. Okay, now I just got a bigger brush and I'm going to come back now with that same marquee red by DIY, and I'm going to do some dry brushing over his head and his tail and his feathers just to kind of highlight all of that texture that was already there. Okay, now I've decided that he needs some feathers in the middle of his body because chickens have feathers, right? And so we're going to go back to use that tissue paper texture technique. And so here I am. I'm just going to ball up some tissue paper, and I've already sealed the middle of him already with DIY's liquid patina and let that dry. And so now I've balled up my tissue paper, and I'm going to go back to that liquid patina, and I am just going to lay down my tissue paper, but I'm not going to press it down smoothly. I am just going to kind of crinkle it up as I lay it down, because I want to give the illusion of feathers. So that's what you see me doing here. I'm just pressing it down, and then I'm kind of grabbing it and pulling it back toward me just to give it more and more wrinkles. And then I'm just going to keep moving along, laying down my liquid patina, laying down my tissue paper and just crinkling it up as much as I can. And then I'm just going to peel away. I'll just tear off the pieces that are too long, and just nothing really, I'm not doing anything uniform. I'm just going to rip it off and let it rip where it may, just so I can keep it in that middle part of his body. Okay, so I got all of my tissue paper feathers laid down. I went back over them again with the DIY's liquid patina and let that dry. And so now I'm going back with that mixture that I made from another project that I had left over. This is a mixture of DIY's Sandy Blonde and Liquid Sunshine. And I am just kind of lightly brushing over the tissue paper in that color, and because I didn't want the tissue paper to stay white. So that's what you see me doing here. I'm just lightly going over all of that tissue paper with this color, and this color does have salt wash in it, so it does have some extra texture as well. All right, y'all, so I'm going to continue with some of the elements from IOD's Home Sweet Home transfer. This is a really cool transfer for any type of, baking, kitchen, cooking type upcycles. It has a lot of good elements in it. But anyway, I found this round piece here inside there. Inside this transfer, and I thought it would be a good little size to go inside that little round space on the cutting board. Again, I don't know what that round space is for. Maybe some of y'all might be able to tell me. But anyway, I'm just going to cut him out and to fit, and I'm just going to kind of peel him off of his backing, stick him in there, and just start to transfer. And again, I'm just going to use the transfer stick that comes along with this transfer, and I'm just going to start transferring it down and peeling up that plastic as I transfer. This went on very well, but again, this piece has been sealed. Oh yes, that's another thing. So once I got the paint over the feathers, I went ahead and sealed it again. So this piece has had a lot of sealing. So it did go on really well. So I put that little guy in that hole there, and then I am going to use a couple of the other elements from this transfer. I'm going to start out by using the word bread, and this is going to go in the middle of the body of the chicken. So I'm just going to cut it out. I'm not going to use the stars that's on that transfer. I just want the word bread on there, or at least in the middle. I'll be using some of the other elements though. But for this particular first to start out, I'm just going to use the word bread. Once I get my transfers transferred down, to burnish it in, rather than using the vellum that typically you would use that comes off of that particular transfer, I used my fingers because I felt like with all of the texture, I think my fingers worked better, that I could just kind of go around each of the images and work with my finger to get it burnished down rather than using that plastic this time. Alright y'all, let's take a look back at where we started with this little hen rooster chicken thing, and look where it has come to. Oh y'all, I really love the way this turned out. I think it turned out really pretty, and I hope you guys do too. Alright, for my fourth and final project, y'all, I am not a quitter. I found this little rusted out old-timey tray top. It didn't have the legs, at a garage sale somewhere. I'm pretty sure I only paid a couple bucks for it. It doesn't have the, the legs didn't come with it. But nevertheless, I thought maybe I could do something with it. And because I'm not a quitter, y'all, I'm going back to milk paint. Yep, you heard it right. I'm going back to milk paint. This time I'm going to be using the milk paint in Suitcase by Sweet Pickins. And it is kind of a brown color. So I am going to do 2 parts powder to 2 parts water, because Sweet Pickins milk paint is an equal part paint. So however much powder you put in, you put the same amount of water in. You stir it for about 2 minutes, and then you sit it to the side to let it thicken up. And that is what I did. So I'm stirring it here. That's what you see me doing. Now, I have no idea what happened to the footage of me starting to paint this, but I ended up giving it 2 coats of the Suitcase paint and let it dry. And this time, y'all, once it dried, I sealed it with some spray sealer. And look what I got, y'all. Crackle. I got crackle. Houston, we do not have a problem. Now that I think back, I actually sealed it before with some shellac. So maybe that's where my crackle came from? Not sure. Anyway, I was happy. Okay, y'all, moving on. I'm going to be using some of the pieces from IOD's Menagerie transfer. Y'all, look at this transfer. So many bird cages, birds, limbs, flowers. This is a beautiful transfer, y'all. So I've cut out some of the elements that I want to use from this transfer, and I am just going to start to transfer them on. Transferring is really simple, y'all. When I first started to transfer, I didn't realize that, first of all, you don't have to put a lot of pressure on your transfers. If you're having to put a lot of pressure to get your transfer to adhere, then something is wrong with the underlayment, whatever you're trying to transfer it onto, because you really don't need a lot of pressure. Each transfer comes with its own little transfer stick. And I usually like to take it once I lay it down and go over or once over, just to give it that initial sticking contact to whatever you're going to put it on. And then you just start rubbing it down, transferring it on while you're pulling up that plastic. And it really does go on well. I love these transfers. once you get them where you want them to be, then you can burnish them down either by using the vellum that they came with or your fingers. Just make sure that they have good contact to the surface. So now I had to use one of these beautiful bird cages that came in this transfer. But I also want a bird to be in the bird cage. So yes, you can layer your transfers. So I've kind of situated my bird to kind of where I know it'll be in my bird cage. And I'm going to get the bird down first. So I'm going to transfer my bird down first, the same way I've done the other transfers. Get him down, and then I'm going to layer my bird cage over the bird and up against the top of that, or the bottom of that limb that I've already transferred, so it looks like it's hanging there. So that's kind of what you see me doing here. I've got my bird down, I've burnished him down. Now I'm just going to take my bird cage, I'm going to peel off that backing, and then I'm going to lay it in place. I'm not really pressing it down right now because I'm kind of trying to get it to the place that I want it to be. Once I get it there, then I can just lay it down, press it down with my hand, and start the transferring process. Okay, once I got all the elements down that I wanted to add some typography. So I'm going to be using IOD's typesetting stamp. Y'all, that is one of my favorite stamps. It has been around so long, but it is a workhorse, literally. It has both uppercase and lowercase letters, as well as some numbers. I'm going to be spelling out the word Mother Nature to add to this little tray, and I'm going to be using my black StazOn ink to add that on there. So I'm just going to spell it out, and then I'm going to pick it up with my thin mount, and then I'm just going to stamp it with my ink, and then I'll just flip it over, press it down. Now once you get it down, you have to put it there. So make sure you want it, make sure you have it where you want it before your ink touches your piece. So I'm going to put it right here on this edge. I'm just going to press it down, go over each of my letters, and then lift it up. And there I have nature. So now with the word mother, because y'all know Mother Nature don't always come at you straight, right? She does her own thing. So I gave mother a little bit of a curve. I'm going to put her on a curve, but I'm going to do the same thing. Lay my letters down, pick them up with my thin mount, add my black ink, get it to where I want it, commit, and just go over those letters with my finger. And this turned out really pretty, y'all. I was really happy. I feel vindicated now with the milk paint. Still not a professional at it, but vindicated nevertheless. So once I get this down here and my ink has dried, I'm going to go over it with some clear wax by DIY. And I'm going to just put that clear wax on there, buff it back. And then I'm going to come back with some white wax, put that on there and buff it back. And this project will be done, y'all. I thank you guys so much for always stopping in to watch my videos, for your support. I really would like for you to subscribe to my channel if you like my content. I would always appreciate a thumbs up. And if you leave me a comment, I always try to respond to the comments. And if you, think that it's good enough, also maybe share it with a friend that might enjoy it, because your support is really important to me. So thanks a lot, y'all. I really appreciate it. I'm going to let you watch the end of this. And until we meet next time, don't forget to bud, bloom, and be unique. Bye for now. I don't retail the Sweet Pickins milk paint, you guys, but I usually pick it up from my friend Rachel over at Stella Rose Mercantile. So if you're interested, you can drop on over to her website. It's stellarosemercantile.co and find your favorite colors and try your hand at milk paint. It is really fun. I'm going to keep trying, y'all, until I get good at it. If you're interested in any of the products that you saw me use tonight, you can find them on my website at www.pecanporchboutique.com.